This is the Retro Inc. podcast. Welcome back.
Welcome back to Retro Inc. with myself, Adam, and my co-host, Andy. How are you, sir?
I'm good, mate. Thank you very much. Yourself?
Excellent, mate. Yeah, very good indeed. Well, the last show was pretty epic, and this one is going to be short and sweet. We're going to go through some news. Some of it is a little bit fresh. Some of it's a little bit old, but I'm going to start with... Netflix.
Sorry, can we just address the sound issues that we've been having just quickly, just to let people know?
Yeah.
We have got some issues at the moment with setup and some issues with certain pieces of equipment.
It's my MacBook.
It is your MacBook, but we are working on it. If you just bear with us, we're hoping this will be the last episode with these issues, and we should be back to normal programming regimes. But as it stands now,
he's not very well.
What would you rather? Nothing at all, or us sounding a little bit fuzzy?
Well, there we go. What can
There
we
you
do?
go. There you go. All right. But yeah, so
we got some great news coming. We got the Series 3 of Daredevil, which you could say came from it wasn't due and so soon, but they've basically looked at the Marvel Universe on Netflix and thought, yeah, Iron Fist 3 not really doing particularly well. Luke Cage a little bit lackluster, so they've pushed the date for Daredevil Series 3 forward, which is great news. So it's earlier than expected, and it's due to drop on October the 19th on Netflix. Okay.
Do you also think there's maybe something to do with Disney or Netflix trying to get their stuff out before Disney do their streaming service?
I think so. I think that's also got a massive part to play.
Because we've had the news drop about the Loki series and Scarlet Witch, haven't we, as well, with Hiddleston and please remind me her name.
That one.
Anyway,
Anyway,
yes,
she'll come in a minute. The name. We've also got the
Olsen.
A draft. Thank you very much. Yeah. A draft has been written up. Which means there's going to be a script dropped to the studios, Suicide Squad 2. Now, that doesn't mean it's being made, it just means that the script is written. Apparently, the scriptwriter, and he would say this, wouldn't he? He would say it's very exciting, has been dropped to the studios, so potentially we could be getting a Suicide Squad 2, and hopefully that will move forward. Again, in the DC universe, we have a little bit of a insight into Joaquin Phoenix's new character.
Oh my God. Right, now, who posted this? I think was it me? I sent you the message and I was like, no, it was originally posted by someone on the Facebook group, or you let me know.
Mm-hmm.
And we said I said, I'll tell you my thoughts and feelings on this week's show, because I have a lot of them. So if you don't mind me quickly rambling, I'll try and keep this brief and sweet, and you can interject, just shout at me. But I'm seeing a lot of negativity about this. Now, I want to break this down, right? Because I think this looks phenomenal. And I think this is exactly what DC need to do. DC need to drop everything they're doing and go with this. Other worlds. Just do this. DC worlds. The worlds of DC. We have had, and this is what annoys me with the negativity, right? People have been spoiled by the MCU. And as much as I love the MCU, we don't need that in DC. We don't need that to be emulated. Let them do their own thing. What they need to do is do exactly this. For 20, 30 years, DC have been churning out The Killing Joke, this graphic novel, Batman Year One. They've been doing this, and nobody seems to bat an eye at it, excuse the pun, but nobody bats an eye at this, and they're all, this is the best one, this is the best one, this is amazing, that's amazing. Let DC do just that. Let them release the Joker origin movie and we'll do a Batman movie. We'll do Wonder Woman. And they do not have to be connected. They just need to make good movies.
Mate, there is no definitive Joker story. There
No.
isn't one. This particular character's name for this Joker is Arthur, I believe.
Have you not seen Arthur Fleck? Affleck.
Yeah.
Yeah, Affleck. Ben Affleck. Yeah, I mean, a bit too close for me. But
there is no definitive story. I mean, I've got a leather-bound book called Joker: The Greatest Stories Ever Told, and these Joker stories, they're all very different. They're all very different.
Well, that's what they need to be.
And
Look
you know what? Just add another one into the mix. It's going to
The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight, right? There's that whole thing where he tells the different story how he got his scars, and this is exactly what they need to do with the Joker. To be honest with you, giving you the Arthur story, which is to me very similar to the Killing Joke, isn't it? What we're seeing so far is that he's a man that it looks like he could be a comedian to me, or someone that's a little bit down on his luck, and he ends up going down this path that it wasn't really intended, and that's cool with me. Joaquin Phoenix looks absolutely amazing without the makeup on.
And then outstanding actor, and this guy needs given the chance.
And then did you see that little Instagram video that I sent you? I said go onto Todd Phillips' Instagram stat and look. Because it plays through with that beautiful piece of music within the background. He's got the projector on him of the video of him as the Joker. And it kind of matches up now and again. And straight away, the hairs, I mean, they're doing it now. The hairs on my arm are standing up. And then I saw that makeup. And my first reaction to that was a little bit of disappointment. I went, oh. And then I actually sort of stood back and I watched it and I thought, this is perfect. This is Heath Ledger all over again. This is different. This isn't someone in some typical Joker makeup. This is an outstanding actor. He's Oscar winning as well, I believe. Outstanding actor playing a dark and serious role. And he's going to bring this certain nuance and style to this that I think will ace it. He's not the silly... I mean, I liked Jared Leto as the Joker. It wasn't his fault that he was underused. But I look at this and I think to myself... You moan about, and this is what I was saying on the last episode, you moan about, oh, he doesn't look like the Joker. Well, Scarlet Witch doesn't look like Scarlet Witch. Okay?
How can anyone say that? When he's standing there in that mustard colour coat, the hair is the right length to start. He's got a face of someone who looks like he's going to... Well, do you know what he looks like? De Niro from Taxi Driver.
De Niro's in this as well, isn't he, if I'm not mistaken?
What?
But this, I got hints when I saw this. I got hints, and it was good. It was a cross between Heath Ledger, Cesar Romero, and The Mask. The Mask that was used by Cesar Romero in the original and by Heath Ledger before when he's doing the bank job. It's the same mask, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I got hints of that in the makeup. And there's people saying that the red on his face is blood, and it's just his maniacal, it's not even a smile, it's just this small purse of the lips that he's got. And
his eyebrow just raises very slightly.
Have you seen the video of him now that's released today of him walking off of the train with all the gang?
Yeah.
And he's got this gait in his walk, this stature that just says, do not with me, because I will
He's got the look of Romero from the original 66 series. That's what I love about it. This is very exciting.
I think he's got the swagger of Ledger and the look of Romero. And I tell you what, if you mix them, I'm hoping this is going to be at least a 15.
At least
right?
15.
And this is what DC needs to do. They need to fall back. And I honestly believe this. And this is what I see from an outside perspective. Because I know I'm in this world and I do but I'm not big into comics. I'm into the movies and the extended stuff, right? But I see DC as very, very, very mature. It's more for a mature audience. You can have the Hulk running around. Every kid knows who Iron Man is and who Thor is and Captain America. And Captain America's as white gets, isn't it? You know. But DC has been gritty. It's dark. It's quite. You know. You look at what's the Joker one where he cuts his face off.
Yeah.
And this isn't for kids. Arkham Asylum isn't for kids.
It's not for kids.
You know, and this is what they need to fall back on. What is our demographic? What are the people we're trying to sell this to? Because a Joker movie isn't for kids. A Joker movie is for adults like us that want to go see this and enjoy seeing someone be sadistic. And that's what we got with Ledger. And they managed to keep that. It's a 15, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight. And it's one of the best. Not one of. It's the best DC movie ever made.
Absolutely.
Right? The Watchmen, one of the greatest DC movies ever made. It's an 18. And do you not see the pattern there that DC movies need to be for a mature audience? And I think that's where DC needs to look at it and go, we can corner that market. Marvel have got the families, they've got all of this. We're not going to make as much money as them, but we're going to make some blooming good films in the process. And that's what they should be looking at right now, because if it's not working one way and they're not going to get that money in through, nearly $1 billion for something like the Justice League, which it should have done realistically, they need to look at this and go, what's our other game? What's the other way of doing this? And that is DC Worlds.
Let's look at these three Jokers. Heath Ledger, dark, sadistic, psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Nicholson, humorous, psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
There is a photograph that I've seen where you've got Joaquin Phoenix in the middle of both Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson, and there's something about his face that looks like he belongs in this universe. I'm just looking forward to seeing who he's going to be up against. There's another photograph I've seen where you've got half of Ledger's face and half of Joaquin Phoenix's face, both painted up. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
And they've merged the two together.
It's
that
great.
looks phenomenally good.
This makeup, do you think this is the final product? Because I know that Instagram piece, that Instagram piece is a tonal piece. The music, the colour palette, just the kind of the almost macabre sort of fairground feel of the way that projector hits his face and the way it pans in. There's a lot of pageantry to that small Instagram screen test shot. And then the new footage we have of him coming off the train, he pulls the mask off and he's got his face paint that we've seen in the screen test. I don't think that's the final product. I think that could probably be him doing his first big job for whoever he's working for or whatever's going on.
What did you think of that shot where you've got him, Joaquin Phoenix, and he's walking past, looks like a small fairground, an amusement ride. It's got, I think it's amusement arcade. I think it's amusement park. And he's walking towards that clown. That clown's got his hands out. Have you seen that shot?
Yeah, and he squeezes the clown's nose as well in the pictures. That to me looks beautiful, and this is what I mean. This is somebody. I think that's when maybe he's started to go. He's started to go over the edge, and I wouldn't be surprised if this theme park leads into maybe
it's Amusement Mile. That's what that says in the background.
Is it Jokerland that he has later on? That he finally takes over and turns into his sort of his fortress of solitude.
There's a shot as well where he's walking out. It looks like a back door. He's got please ring bell, and it's got ha ha. It's got the amusement room or Joker's room or something. This looks dark, and I mean kudos to DC, because let's face it, right? They've had problems, they've had issues, but something's going on there that we're not 100% aware of. Clearly, we think all's not good, but actually they've got plans.
Because I did hear someone say, do you think they dropped this because of the Cavill thing? No, I think they dropped this because they knew that the Cavill thing wasn't as important. If you get my point there, is they're going, look, it doesn't matter about the Cavill thing. We've got plans, and this is it. This is the start of something else, and I'm okay with that. If what we got from DC is what we got, and I know this Wonder Woman thing's coming, and Aquaman's coming, but maybe this is them going, let's mix it up. Let's really give people something. This isn't working, or maybe this is what we're going to continue doing with Cavill, and we're going to continue doing this. But there is more to DC than just the Justice League.
Absolutely, you've got a lot of years of Joker. I mean, you could look at the Ed Brubaker run. called The Man Who Laughs.
Mm.
You should, if you've not read that comic, you should. It's highly recommended, and I think could be where they're going. We've had Dark Knight. We've had various sort of bits and pieces of the Batman storylines fed into the films, but I think this is exactly where this is going. I think this is all sort of Man Who Laughs and his probably the truest origin story. Let's face it, I mean, Jack Nicholson fell into a vat of acid. That's one story. That's just one story. Then you've got the tormented child, teenage lad whose father tortured him.
Yep.
Then we have this failed comedian. He tried to make him laugh, and I think this has got quite a lot to do as well with the character what's the move? Oh goodness me! Sorry, my mind's gone blank here. De Niro's character, where he played the foul comedian who was a stalker for Jerry Lee Lewis.
Oh, blimey!
That movie.
Yes.
I think to a degree this may well link up with that, mate. Now, as strange as that might seem, I think that it could link with this film.
I'm sure De Niro's in this as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
I've just got to double check this because when I first heard they were making a Joker movie, I thought, my initial thought was, oh, cool. And now it's up there. It's up there as something I'm so interested. I'm so intrigued about this. So I tell you who's in it as well, actually, because I didn't know this. So we've got Zazie Beetz from Deadpool 2, who played Domino. Yeah. She's in it. We've got Joaquin Phoenix. We've got De Niro. And so far, nobody else I'm really aware of, to be honest. We've got Brett Cullen in it, who was in The Dark Knight Rises. He played the Congressman. He was also as Barton Blaze in Ghost Rider. He is playing Thomas Wayne. So we're going to get a little bit of the Wayne family in there as well, of some description, and then maybe a young Joker, a young Batman, and a young Bruce Wayne walking about as a child. As well, what I like about this is the director, Todd Phillips.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Have you seen Due Date?
Yeah.
Have you seen Old School?
Mm-hmm.
You've seen The Hangover, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
well, that wasn't a film that I particularly liked.
I absolutely adore The Hangover. It's one of my favourite comedies of all time. And if you actually...
The one thing about it is, it's very real.
They're
got
real.
A real realistic feel to it. All his films have got they're real.
And I'll tell you what else they are. No matter how funny they are, they're dark.
They are.
If you actually
dark.
Look at The Hangover, the jokes in there, there's paedophilia, there's race, it's dark, and he makes light out of it. He makes light out of it, but they are dark. There is some of the jokes, they're those Family Guy-esque jokes where you laugh, and deep down inside you go, I should not be laughing at that. Yeah, and that's what I'm looking forward to with this, is him bringing that, if he can bring that humour. He did War Dogs as well, which again is another one of those movies that's the subject material and the actual comedy, they don't match, but they work. And I want him to bring that to the Joker with that grittiness of DC. And that, to me, just sounds sublime. Todd Phillips is fantastic.
This Joker makeup reminds me of the masks that his goons wore in the very beginning of Dark Knight Rise, and the Dark Knight.
Yeah, this is just what I was saying, the mask.
Those masks are just so incredibly similar. Oh man, it's very exciting, this.
Well, they are wearing those masks. If you see the train shot where they come off the train, they are wearing those masks from The Dark Knight, and he takes his off and it's pretty much the same underneath, is what I like about it. And that's what I'm saying about, I don't think that's the final product. I think that's him, the pageantry of the Joker, as he walks off that train all maniacal, and everyone expects him to take the mask off and see this man, and it's not. It's the same. It's the man wearing the mask underneath, and I don't think that's the final product. We might get the final product of the Joker's makeup at the end of this movie when the inevitable happens. I think this is the origin of the Joker. We've got to remember, I don't think this is going to be a film that starts off with a 10-minute intro and him becoming the Joker. I think this is going to be one big build-up of this man's descent into this twisted psychopath. That's going to be the end 10 minutes of the movie, and then we're going to get a Joker an expanded universe on that. Maybe they may leave it. That's fine, because if this is the Killing Joke in a movie format, we don't need a sequel. This is how the Joker became the Joker in this iteration, and that's all it needs to be. So we're going to talk about this all night unless we move on.
Well, let's go back a little bit to DC Universe, because Henry Cavill could well play a character that is British through and through. And do you think there's a possibility that he could play Mr. Bond?
Cavill was James Bond, yes. He wasn't he second? Wasn't he second after Daniel Craig anyway? I believe at one point he was their second choice. Now, this would tie a lot of things up into a bow. This would explain a lot as to why Cavill may be hanging up that cape if he is. He's definitely becoming flavour of the month in everything we see. I think I've seen Henry Cavill's name float about more in the last 6 months than I've ever seen his name about, even when the whole Superman thing started. He's big in the Mission Impossible films. He's big in Superman. He's got this Witcher series coming. And
he's not just the Man of Steel, he's the man of appeal, isn't he? And he does appeal to a huge audience. The women love him, guys think he's cool, kids think he's still Superman now he's playing James Bond. It could work so well.
Of course he could, mate. And I always see that actors, I think you see it a lot, and I know it happens, but they get certain roles to prepare or to, it's kind of like a portfolio. That's exactly what it is. But they get a role to sort of prove to a studio. They might have had talks and go, we haven't seen you do this yet. But then he goes and does Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Mission Impossible. Mm-hmm. And he's showing his chops there of, look, I can do Superman kicking some ass because I've got a cape on and I've got some CGI behind me. But can we have Cavill? And they want to know, can we have you beating the crap out of someone in a bathroom? Can we have you doing this high-intensity action movie stuff? And okay, Man from U.N.C.L.E. fell flat, but maybe that's the point. He can act. I love this guy. I've got such a soft spot for Cavill. And out of everyone, aside from Idris Elba, he would be my choice as Bond. Because if you put him in a suit, yeah, he may look a little bit baby-faced sometimes, Cavill. He's got very soft features. But Roger Moore wasn't a hard man. It's...
He could be a very good in-between those Bonds and Daniel Craig. He'll have a harder, new style Bond edge with a little bit of a reflection back to the past. Yeah. It's a great possibility, mate, I think. And, one that we can look forward to seeing perhaps in the next, year or two, that being announced. Because Daniel Craig is now going to be on his last film, and they're having huge problems with the director, aren't they? For this.
Well, they've got one now, haven't they?
And that's been announced, yeah.
I'm not going to pretend to say the guy's name. So
no, but it's the first American director, isn't it, of any Bond film?
Yeah.
So why not? And
direction, mate.
Yeah. Marvel actor Michael B. Jordan from Black Panther looks like he's going to be playing the lead character in the Tom Clancy film series Rainbow Six. Now, have you any thoughts on that at all?
If you're going to do it, I suppose Rainbow Six isn't a bad thing, is it? I think they're quite generic, these sort of properties. If you're going to do a video game to movie,
it's a good one to do.
Of course it is. It's just espionage. It's just espionage and action. That's something that's not going to fail because you're working on source material of someone who's prolific in that field anyway. It's not like you're turning around and saying Michael B. Jordan is going to be in a Metal Gear Solid movie, because that's a much mooted movie, Metal Gear, and it's supposedly being made, and there's a massive fan, a hardcore fan of Metal Gear. I'm not excited for the movie because I know it's a video game movie that they're probably going to do wrong. But when you're doing something Tom Clancy, you're pretty much just looking forward to a really good action film, aren't you? With some real world aesthetic to it. And that's cool. Michael B. Jordan nails it in most things he's in. The films may not be good, but he's amazing. He was brilliant in Black Panther. I'm all in.
Black Panther director is working on a new project. Do you know what that new project is?
Black Panther's director is indeed working on a new project, and that would be Space Jam 2.
There we go.
There you go.
How
Ryan
many years has
Coogler.
that been since the first one?
Wow, it has been, so 1996 was when Space Jam came out, so I'm making that 22 years, if I'm not mistaken, 23 by the time it comes out. And this will star LeBron James, and
Big basketball star.
And I don't know if you know how this got announced, but his production company and himself, Spring Hill Entertainment, they shared a picture on Instagram and Twitter, and it's lovely. It's a locker room, and it's got B Bunny and his position, L James next to it, and then it's got R Coogler and the production team as well next to it, and that's a great way of releasing that. And it's Space Jam. We know what we're in for here, aren't we? We're in for more fun, because the first film was really good. I watched that when I was a kid.
Similar cartoon characters in this too, Bugs Bunny.
Yeah,
Duck.
What they're stipulating this is
Warner Brothers characters, basically.
Yeah, they're stipulating this is a direct sequel to Space Jam. It's not a reboot, which that I prefer with things, because if you reference the original, I think it makes it more acceptable to a degree. You can't go and remake Space Jam because there's no need to remake Space Jam. But if you do a sequel that's for kids these days to enjoy, it's going to get our bums on seats, mine especially. I was 13 when Space Jam came out, so I was the prime age for seeing Michael Jordan and a load of Looney Tunes characters running around and having some fun. I'll go and I'll take my daughter to see this, because I'll be like, we are going and I need an excuse to go and see this, right? And so that's 15 quid they've already got out of me to go see this movie. And I don't even like basketball.
Yeah, I do like basketball. I did like Space Jam. I wasn't massively a fan of Roger Rabbit. It was only sort of later showings of Roger Rabbit where I thought, it's not a bad film. Doesn't always work when you're mixing live action with animation, but Space Jam was just fun. It was enjoyable. It always had potential for a sequel, and it looks like we're going to be getting it. And that's.
But do you notice this as well? This is Warner Brothers, because it's Looney Tunes. And there's a comparison here to the Joker movie in a way. And that is, Warner Brothers materials have always been, they lean slightly to us. They lean slightly to the adults. We have had Space Jam in 1996, and there is a moment in that movie where, if you remember, it cuts and two of them are doing, I think it's Elmer Fudd and Sylvester, I think it may be, are doing a Reservoir Dogs-esque moment, suited up with guns pointed at the camera, and the little guitar riff from Reservoir Dogs kicks in, and that's not aimed at kids. They won't get that reference. And that's Warner Brothers through and through. The Looney Tunes have always been a little bit more sardonic and edgy than Disney characters. They're not Mickey Mouse, they're not Daffy Duck and that. There's always something a little bit more, not risque, but you know what I mean. They're slightly more adult orientated. And that's what I mean. This is perfect, because LeBron James, big name, he's the current generation's Michael Jordan, and this will get bums on seats. This, to me, is almost going to be like a Toy Story 2 affair, and it's that we've waited 23 years for a sequel to Space Jam, a sequel that nobody ever knew they wanted.
Well,
until now,
they've obviously looked at their back catalogue. Because, I mean, where else did this come from? Unless the director has always, has made it quite clear he'd like to do it.
I think LeBron James is a big advocate of this, is what I'm getting from it. I think he had a lot to do with this. So,
Well, another sequel which has taken probably 4 years now to come to fruition is the sequel Edge of Tomorrow 2, which came under another name, didn't it?
Live, Die, Repeat.
That's right, starring the one and only Mr. Tom Cruise. Now, this movie has had, when it came out...
Jeremy, you can turn off now. Turn on back on in about 5 minutes' time, okay? You can't appreciate the finer things in life.
I think Jeremy would, if he hasn't seen this film, would love it. Now, when this film came out, it had a terrible marketing campaign. It really was awful. And when people started to go and see it, and it eventually got released on DVD, it built up a huge momentum of people saying, this is a great film, and it deserves more viewings, and this film does.
Well, it wasn't the only name change it had either, was it? Because originally the source material was called All You Need Is Kill. And that's how it was originally pegged, and then they called it Edge of Tomorrow. And then on the re-release on DVD, Live, Die, Repeat. What a way to screw up your IP. To really lose some interest there. You know, I walked in the shop and I was looking, oh no, Live, Die, Repeat, what's that? Oh, it's Edge of Tomorrow, that's weird. And it was only because I sort of caught my eye. Why do that?
It's very, very strange. I mean, it's a real mess. Now, the biggest advocate for making a sequel has got to be Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt, who both have said they're all in for a sequel. The roadblock has been really for this sequel. It's been that both Cruise and Blunt, their schedules have been incredibly busy. I mean, she's been making a lot of films. You know, at the time when they could have been a chance for getting this film underway, she was doing Mary Poppins. Cruise was doing the Mission Impossible film. She's got Jungle Cruise or Jungle something coming, isn't she? The new Disney movie, The Jungle Cruise.
With The Rock.
And Tom Cruise has got Top Gun too. So, you know, they're all pretty much in the bag. But there might be a little bit of time where their schedules won't clash and there could be some action happening. And hopefully by this time next year, because the script, again, apparently is done. So it's just it's just down to timing for these two to get together, as they're both 100% in. We also had some news last week from Disney's Bob Iger, who admits that there was some problems at Mill, as they say, with the amount of Star Wars movies that have been coming out, and that he wasn't particularly happy with the way that they have sort of bumbled the deal with Star Wars since Disney took over. Now, I wouldn't say Force Awakens was a bumble. I would say that Solo was a bumble, and I would definitely say it was out too soon after The Last Jedi. So they are going to slow down on those films. Now, do you think that's a good idea?
I am really upset about this. Then when I saw Bob Iger did this really annoyed me. I look at it as bowing to internet pressure.
Yeah.
Fan pressure. And it really bugs me. I was trying to think of the analogy or the comparison. But you've got to stick to your guns when you do this. They're Disney, for Christ's sakes. They're the biggest, they're the House of Mouse. They're the biggest production company. They're one of the biggest companies on the planet.
Let's just stop here, right? We've got Trevorrow doing a TV series. So that doesn't affect the movies. So that's going ahead. We've got Resistance. It's an animated TV show, so that doesn't affect the movies. So we've got episode 9 coming next December. And we've got two guys writing a trilogy. Now, they aren't going to be coming anytime soon. They're going to
Don't forget you've got Rian Johnson's films as well.
That's what I'm talking about. You've got Rian Johnson's trilogy, and we've got the guys from the Game of Thrones doing their thing. So he didn't need to say that, because it's going to be a while before we see anything after that. So let's say
I've got a theory.
I would say after episode 9, it's going to be at least 2 years before we see another film. Anyway, so why say it? So
I've got a theory on that.
Do you think he's got?
It's the bow into peer pressure. It's the bow into internet peer pressure. I believe Benioff and Wise's films are going to go ahead. I believe we're going to get Resistance. I believe we're going to get this Trevorrow's things and Jon Favreau's series. Yeah, and Trevorrow, he was off. They don't want him no more. But we're going to get Favreau's series.
That's who.
But I don't think we're going to get Rian Johnson's. I think this is just sliding a little bit of a note under the bottom of the door to people to make them aware that something's going on. And then I've got a feeling they might turn around and say, we're canning it. Because the backlash of The Last Jedi, we know, we're fans. It's sickening, it's upsetting, it's annoying, it's pathetic, and I think it's those internet
of Mouse has always been squeaky clean, hasn't it? And then after James Gunn's tweets and the backlash there, something just needs to be done to clear up this little mess.
And I think Ryan Johnson, as soon as that James Gunn thing happened, Ryan Johnson jumped on his Twitter and deleted 20,000 tweets.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Something akin to that. It was a hell of a lot of tweets he deleted. And I think maybe they're thinking to themselves, do we really? We've lost a lot of fans over Ryan Johnson.
I just said he wasn't aware of those tweets.
Well, maybe that's what you're saying. But maybe they're looking at it going, he's done this, he's deleted these tweets. That makes us think a little bit. We've got Ryan Johnson heading up this new trilogy. And you've got to look at the fan base. There's a lot of people that aren't happy with episode 8. And what do they mostly reflect that on? And that is Ryan Johnson. Most people that don't like it go, Ryan Johnson screwed it up. Ryan Johnson did this. Ryan Johnson made the worst Star Wars film. They're doing that. They're saying it's him. And yeah, it mostly is because he's the director of a movie, but it does also come down to the writers, the producers. It comes down to everyone, but it's the person that holds that camera, that sits behind that camera, that gets it in the neck. And I've got a feeling this is going to be them turning around and going, we're not making Ryan Johnson's trilogy because it's not something we need. We don't need more backlash. It's going to be hard for him to get that off the ground and people enjoy it.
Yeah. 8 series of Game of Thrones says that's a success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're going to go that way.
Of course.
That's for sure.
Of course.
These
Many
guys
up and
know
wise.
what they're doing. They can do big budget. They could do, they could do 3 movies on a budget of Game of Thrones. Let's face it, which is 10 minute episode.
Mm.
Each episode looks like a full-on movie. So, yeah, I think you're right. Recent releases. We've got Venom imminently coming to cinema.
Yeah,
The Predator, which has had terrible reviews.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I've not heard one good one, except for today, where I did actually meet Jeremy, our listener, and his children, and he said it was great fun, and it's worth going and seeing, just on the basis that it's great fun.
Yeah, but I know what sort of films he likes, so.
And so do I. So I think what I'll do is next weekend I shall take my son to go and see it, because he's seen AVP now. He likes Predator. And I think this is a film that actually, if I'm going to take him to see a more adult-themed film other than a PG-13, 12, which is his age, why not take him to see this?
It's a safe bet, I think.
Bet.
You know what you're going to get. There's not going to be anything ridiculously over the top for him at that age that would affect him in any way.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It's not Alien, so
no,
it's not Halloween.
It's a good action film with a bit of blood and gore.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Like, we'll be fine with that.
Venom, I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm a big Tom Hardy fan. I think this will be good to see, I think. And so I'm very much looking forward to that. My big release for this week was receiving my Solo Steelbook. And when the digital release dropped, this week, I couldn't wait to see it. I'm now, I think, on my 8th viewing of this film at home. It doesn't disappoint with every viewing. It delivers exactly what you want. It really, really does. And if you haven't seen Solo, just go and watch it. Get it. Buy it on iTunes, Amazon Prime. If you want it digital, get the DVD or Blu-ray release. It's phenomenal.
I think there's nothing negative about it. On the certain groups we're on, I even saw someone the other day. I mean, we're on Star Wars groups, and there's collectors groups we're on, and these are big fans. These are people that spend mega bucks on the franchise. And it was only yesterday, day before, that I saw someone on there went, guys, finally saw Solo today. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's Star Wars and you're a Star Wars fan.
Find any post that guy may have done, previously. We might have said, I'm not seeing Solo because Last Jedi was so bad. There are a lot of people that dissed this film.
Well, that would be like me saying I'm not watching Infinity War because I didn't like Captain America Winter Soldier.
Indeed. I think the great thing about this particular home release is the extras. It has a bunch of incredible extras. But the bonus disc is massively packed. There's a great director and cast round table, which is just a joy to watch. 23 minutes of that, superb. 2 incredible extra extended scenes that I don't understand why these weren't in the film, because there's a Minban scene where there's a scene where you've got Han as a reckless TIE fighter pilot, and he gets sent to Minban, and which we saw him, we saw him go there 3
Is this
years
the
later.
shot without he's got the helmet on, but he hasn't got the face part.
That's
yeah.
right. And then you see him go and remember this extended war sort of scene. We saw that for about a minute and a half. Well, we get a little bit more than that in this extended scene. It's superb. And then you also see the escape from where you've got Han and Kira running away, and they jump in a big barrel of eels. And that scene could have been put into the film, But again, I wonder why Ron cut those out, because they're brilliant scenes. They really are good. I mean, on The Last Jedi, you got a scene where Finn's in the lift and he's talking to a First Order stormtrooper, and you think, yeah, I can see why perhaps you cut that out. Wasn't really needed. But these scenes are extended and were superb. Brilliant release. Is the Solo on DVD and Blu-ray, which is released, I think, very soon.
Well, by the time people are listening to this, it's out.
It'll be out. Yeah.
It'll
be out.
So,
have you picked up anything at all this week?
Well, now a couple more bits of news I want to just really quickly
go
go over. Okay, we're going to have to start wrapping this up because I have to go save a friend in need.
Yes.
Car troubles. But we have got this one really good for me, Twilight Zone reboot.
Oh yeah, reboot.
And it is going to be, I don't know, do you know Jordan Peele? Directed Get Out, part of Key and Peele. He will be hosting and narrating a new reboot of The Twilight Zone. And this will be a CBS All Access show. It'll be on their streaming service. But I believe, like most things, that will mean he ends up, it ends up somewhere. We will be able to see this. And I don't know how this will work over in the UK, but it'll probably get picked up by someone. There is no release date yet for The Twilight Zone. But this was mooted a while back. I think I even mentioned it to someone that it was kind of in the works because he is on to executive produce with Simon Kinberg. X-Men, Deadpool, this is a big guns for that. And Jordan Peele obviously creating one of the greatest horror films in the last decade or so. And Jordan Peele's got a great voice for hosting and narrating. I think he's going to absolutely nail this role. And I cannot wait for this. There's no release date as of yet, but I will keep peeled for this.
The original Twilight Zone film was 4 directors, wasn't it? All putting in a little bit of a
anthology movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, an anthology movie. And the series itself, I mean, it is classic.
It was Rod Sterling, wasn't it? The original. And
that's right, yeah.
Yeah, was it 63? Or was it 50s? Maybe it was earlier, wasn't it? The 50s. But I know
Very
my friend,
early 60s.
I know my friend Charlie is a massive fan of these.
And then early 80s, they did a colour version, didn't they?
Wasn't so good, that early 80s one, but I'm hoping that they're gonna hark back to some of the original sort of ideas here, because I'm excited.
My favourite episode was starring Telly Savalas and a doll. And his daughter had a talking doll. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I do know that one.
Oh my God, that freaked the hell out of me.
Yeah, there are some freaky episodes. I mean, my friend Charlie always sits there and tells me about certain episodes of The Twilight Zone, and it brings back so many memories. I've seen so many of them growing up around my granddad's house and used to put it on, but I don't remember verbatim a lot of them now. But this, I'm looking forward to, because Jordan Peele's the man. He is brilliant. In other news, we've got 15 years since Freddy and Jason was on. Mm-hmm. We now have Robert Englund reprising his role as Freddy. And unfortunately, when I first saw this news article, I was so happy thinking they're going to do another Friday the 13th. However, it's not. This is actually he will be reprising his role as Freddy in the TV show of The Goldbergs. So you don't think you're aware of this show, are you?
No, it's a US show, isn't it?
It's a US show. I do watch it sometimes. I'm not a big, I'm not Friday the 13th, sorry, Nightmare on Elm Street, blimey, it's not Jason. He will be reprising his role in a Halloween episode of The Goldbergs. And The Goldbergs is set in the 80s. And, it's semi-autobiographical, this show, I can't remember who, I think it might be Patton Oswalt. I'm not 100% sure, so you're going to have to bear with me while I quickly do my research. But he will be playing Freddy in that, so I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of dream sequence. One of them watches Friday the 13th when it comes out or something, and Friday, I keep saying Friday, Nightmare on Elm Street when it comes out, and yeah, it's going to be one of them. I think he's going to pop up in it, but it will be really nice to see Robert Englund just reprise that role just a little bit. You know, it'd just be nice. So we got that coming. Although, have you ever seen the 2010 reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street with Jackie Earle Haley, who played Rorschach? Yeah. I thought that was a great film. I thought that lent very well to his mythology of Freddy, which we hear about, but we don't see. But I really enjoyed that.
If anyone wants to go and pick up a copy of Friday the 13th, HMV currently have they've got a big sale on their horror films, and a lot of classic films, a lot of retro classic films have got these new slip covers. So if there's a bunch of films that you see that are in there, so you're going to have this lovely sort of cohesion where all the covers are all nicely set up on your shelf. And Friday the 13th, and of course, Nightmare on Elm Street is one of those films. I think they're on 2 for £10, I think now.
Yeah, they look lovely as well. The Goldbergs really nice. Is Adam F. Goldberg. That's who wrote it, and it's like I say, it's semi-autobiographical in his life. And Adam F. Goldberg, he is the writer. I don't know, I'm going to use this loosely because Ernest Cline wrote it, but he's the writer of Fanboys. He also did Aliens in the Attic, How to Train Your Dragon, the new Voltron series. So this guy's got some chops behind him. He did Daywatch as well. I don't know if you've ever seen that. He was a producer on Daywatch, the Russian vampire series as well. Nice, quaint little show. It's one of those that doesn't really do much. You just enjoy it, especially for because it's harkens back to the 80s. It's got a lot of style to it. It's very 80s. It feels like it was made in the 80s as well. So if you ever get to catch an episode, it's quite funny that. But another bit of news. I think this is the last bit of news I wanted to go over, and that's the PlayStation Classic.
Yeah.
This is coming out December 3rd this year, and it has a price tag. I've seen it in a couple of places. I've not seen an English price, a pounds price for it, but it's $99.99 or €99.99 euros. So I'm assuming it's going to be $99.99. It's going to be £100 over here.
Does this mean that we're going to get some new games revamped onto the discs, or are we going to be able to play our old games on this machine?
Not at all. This is exactly akin to the NES and the Mega Drive one. There's 2, isn't there? There's one where you can put them in and one where you can't. And it's the one where you can't. This is literally Sony following the movement of this, bringing back something. And it's a little bit of a shame that we can't put our own games in. It is a shame it hasn't got online functionality. It is a shame that you can't put in your own peripherals with it, your own pads and stuff like that. However, that's not how these games were intended to be played. This is how they were intended to be played, with a controller in a machine, and that's it. We didn't have online capability then. We didn't have all these bells and whistles. So this is back to basics, classic PlayStation, and that's what it should be.
Built-in games?
20. Now, this is actually... No, because this is actually the point of the contention with it, and this is very brave on their behalf. Okay, but at the moment, they're saying 20 classic titles, including fan favourites such as Final Fantasy VII, Jumping Flash, never heard of it, Ridge Racer, Type 4, Tekken 3, and Wild Arms. Now, I know Wild Arms, I know Tekken 3, I know Ridge Racer, and I know Final Fantasy. So what's that, 5 games there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games they've announced. They haven't actually got the other 15 locked in yet, and this comes out in December. Now, I'm sure there's contracts being signed and there's things being replicated and emulated and put onto this system.
Okay.
But does it not worry you that 2 months, 3 months before the release date, they haven't finished this? And I know probably what it has, it's easier. You look back to NES, the NES Classic, and you look at the Mega Drive, there's a lot less legalese surrounding this. But I was thinking to myself, I'd love to see Wipeout on there. How good would it be?
I've got a thing here, okay? I was in game, and in game they've got Wipeout 2097 ships. They've got Parappa the Rapper figure. They've got Final Fantasy 7, and they've got Tekken 7 figures. Sound familiar? Perhaps we're
maybe
getting Parappa the Rapper, Wipeout 2097. Now,
but there's the issue. Legalese, mate. We had this problem with Tony Hawk's when Sony were talking about re-releasing stuff, and it's happened on the Xbox with some of these backward compatible games. The reason why they don't make them backwards compatible and they won't allow them on the Xbox is to do with rights, to do with music. Now, you talk about bringing Wipeout to the PlayStation Classic. You've suddenly got to find who owns the rights to this song. I mean, that game is pretty much a music video with flying ships in it.
Yeah.
And you've got to go through and find all those people.
Well, Prodigy, Chemical Brothers.
And you've got to start paying them money again.
Yeah.
Is there enough money in this to be doing that? Because this will sell, but it won't be big bucks. Like, a multi-million-dollar game. So, do they change the music? No, because part of the charm is that people will get annoyed. It's not the classic. And then you look at things like Tony Hawk's. Well, I'd love to see Tony Hawk's on this. But if I start changing the music, part of the charm of Tony Hawk was all that early 2000s rock and nu metal. And this is where I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, I'm out totally in for this, all in for the PlayStation Classic. I'm just worried about, are we going to be restricted for the games?
If this means that we get 297 with no soundtrack, I'm in anyway. I was playing Forza Horizon 4 demo last night, and I actually took the music off.
Right, okay.
It annoyed me. The great thing about Wipeout is it had great sound. Those ships sounded fantastic. Great explosions. If it's not there and we still get the game, well, that's the way it is. And as long as we get it and the machine works and it gives us that great retro feeling of playing a PlayStation 1 again, but that's wonderful news, mate.
Yeah. And I like the way they've just gone with classic.
What we've got now? So we've got the NES, we've got the Atari, with some built-in games, we've got the Sega, and now we've got the PlayStation 1. And I think, as a retro gamer, why not go and pick these machines up? Because they're going to cost you all under £100 each.
Yeah.
You've got one at £59, one at £69. How much is the NES? £70?
Well, you can pick it up for about that now.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're going to have a PlayStation 1.
So, you've got 20 games on this. Yeah. And say it's £100. Okay. So, realistically, you're looking at £5 a game.
Brilliant.
Right? Yeah, you can't add anything onto it. But so what, you only play 10 of the games, £10 a game. I'll tell you what, if Metal Gear Solid's on there, and you're paying a tenner for it, well worth it. Because you've got so many things on there. Final Fantasy VII. That is a game that will last you 50 hours plus.
You try hunting some of these games down as well without being scratched.
Mate, I have.
Yeah, they're difficult.
I've got my PlayStation. I can play all these games, and I've tried to look a mint copy of Metal Gear. And
I think they might even chuck on the Alien game. That possibly could go on there. But again, Fox will want some money. I mean, as you say, franchise-wise, this is going to be hard. And
I think that's the trouble. When you start getting to newer consoles, there's companies that are still about. There's companies that are still in full swing of production. You go back to the NES, there's a lot of these smaller companies. They don't own this anymore. They don't exist anymore. So it's easy for them to take that property, remake it, and slap it on now. But this, you start getting into that realm of, we've got to start paying people. And I know there is a little rumour going around that it's not long now until we hear about an N64 classic. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. Because if Ocarina of Time drops, I'm there. Yeah. But yeah, I make you right. It will be fun to see what comes out on this. And I look forward to it. But I do just worry about some of these. They're either not telling us everything because it's amazing, the lineup they have for it, or they're not telling us because they really jumped the shark and just threw this news out there before it broke, and they haven't just tied things down.
The whole thing together. They just throw it together because there's a market out there for retro game consoles. And as I just said, there's the Atari, there's the Nintendo, there's the Sega.
Yeah. So, but then do you think we'll see one from Nintendo? Because I hear the architecture for the emulation on the Switch is actually what they use for the NES Classic. So it was a bit scratch your head why it took so long to get that onto the Switch, because this is something that's been out a while and it was already there. So they just literally had to port over the architecture of the emulator for the Switch, which is fine. That's easy done for a company that size. It's already existing. So why did it take so long is part of the question. But is it because maybe they're adding some stuff to it and turning around and going, well, do you know what? We're not going to make an N64 classic. We're just going to throw it on the Switch. Because I tell you what,
that seems like a very good idea.
Make me want to go buy one even more.
Yeah. The great thing about the Switch is you can plug it into your TV. That's the great thing about that. You know,
everyone I know that's got one plays it handheld.
Yeah. But you can plug it into your TV.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah, totally.
Fantastic news for this week. A little extra special for the listeners.
Yeah. Have you been watching anything this week? Seen anything? Done anything? Picked anything up?
I've watched a lot of Solo. Yeah, I've watched quite a lot of movies, but again, you know, nothing brand spanking new. I've just been going back. I rewatched The Mummy because of our previous episode we talked about The Mummy.
Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it, and I'm glad I saw it again. It was fun.
It's the best Indiana Jones film since The Last Crusade.
Because of the episode that we made, I saw things in it that I didn't see before,
Mm-hmm.
and that was great because we got a question from Charlie,
Yep.
and thanks Charlie for that question because that's opened my mind up to a little bit more of, oh yeah, that side character, didn't really notice him very much, and his whole backstory and everything else. Yeah, what can I say? Been a joy once again, mate, to go through the news.
Yeah, I just one other thing. I started watching again Lost. I've started Lost again. Now, I'm going to pose this to people out there in our listenership. Would anyone be interested in maybe a small clip show every now and again, maybe a small podcast every week? Because I don't know if it's worth my while. Is anyone else invested into Lost? I don't know. But my thoughts, maybe a small review on each episode. That is something I'm interested in, whether people would do it. Is there anyone out there that wants to say, you know, rewatch Lost and we'll do it together? We can go through those motions. And I can start doing a small review of it. Maybe bundle 3 episodes together and do a small review of that. But I'm very invested into Lost. I'm going to be sitting there watching it from start to finish again. So just let me know if anyone is interested. Just let us know. And we'll see what we can do.
You know, guys, you can get in contact us. Contact at retroinkpodcast.co.uk. There's our Facebook page. There's our Retro Inc. Instagram and Twitter. And I think that's about the only, that's all the places you can contact us, isn't it?
Yeah, email, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, that's about it. You can come knock on my door if you know where I live. I don't mind. It's fine. You know, I drive around South East London most days. You know, if you see me van, just give us a toot. But yeah, that's about it for this week. We're on Spotify, Podbean, iTunes, that one, the iTunes. But yeah, we're there. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much for listening, guys. We'll see you next time on the Retro Inc. podcast. I've been Adam, and my co-host
Andy. Be seeing you.
Thanks for listening.